You can turn it around, sure.
No, I'll use that. That's fine. All right. So how many of you here knows that electricity is dangerous? Great, great. How many of you here knows that water is dangerous? Okay, it's about the same amount of hands. How many of you here knows that if you mix water and electricity, you're doubling your danger? Okay, great. So you are all friends here. So I don't have to tell you guys anything you don't know already. So tonight, I want to share with you why I believe that water is dangerous, why I believe that electricity is dangerous. And then I'll give you a little facts to back it up as well. So my loving relationship with water started several years ago. I was a little toddler, about that tall, and I was playing in Jamaica on the bank of an irrigation canal, playing with my little toy truck back and forth. Then my little truck fell into the irrigation canal. So what do you think I did? I bent over to go and get it. I fell inside of the irrigation canal and went straight to the bottom. At that time, I think I was around 2 years old. I don't remember much of that experience because I was so young, but what I do recall was going to the bottom, and it was like nice and tranquil down there. It wasn't luxurious because this was an irrigation canal after all. But it was very quiet and peaceful there, and the bottom of the pond, the irrigation canal, was very, very sandy. That's all I remember. And then the rest was, I don't remember the rest after that. I think I passed out. So like I said, I don't remember the experience very clearly, but I do remember that I have fear because I was in that water. Now, Alexander kind of stiffened up in his chair over there because I think we have a similar fear. The fear I speak of is aquaphobia. So after that experience, I had a very strong fear of being in large bodies of water. I had an even larger fear of being submerged in water. So there's a difference. But either way, I had aquaphobia. And most people believe that in Jamaica, since it's an island that's filled with so many rivers and the ocean, that all Jamaicans are great swimmers. But I tell you, that's not true. Jamaica has a lot of great swimmers. But what Jamaica has also in abundance is a lot of people that are afraid of swimming. They're afraid of swimming because they fell in the water at some point, almost drowned, survived the experience, and said, you know what, I'm not ever going there again. My mother, for example, she almost drowned when she was very, very young, and from as far back as I can remember, because of course she's my mother, she's always told me, stay away from the water, don't go in the water, make sure it doesn't go past your waist. If it's higher than your waist, don't go in it. And you can see her when she's at the beach, she'll stay right there, right where the water meets the land, and she'll just hang out there. She's not going any further out. And she's told me the story many times of going under several times in the ocean and surviving. So several years went by. I eventually fought off my fear of being in the water, and I actually fought off my mother and convinced her to let me join the YMCA so I can learn to swim. So as a teenager, I went over to the YMCA. I had practiced several times the night before. I went ahead and kept my face down in the water, held my breath, stayed there for really long, and I was like, oh man, I did a whole minute. So then I went to the YMCA, and the instructor said, put your head underneath the water. So I did the same thing I normally do. I put my face down in the water, and he said, no, you put your whole head in there, and then he pushed my head under the water and held it there. So several things flashed through my mind at that moment, one of them including my imminent death. Second thing is, if I survive this, I'm killing this guy. He eventually let up, I came up out of the water, and that was it for me learning how to swim. Fast forward another 15 years or so, I tried again, I learned how to float, I learned how to do a couple things in the water, but never under the water. Then 2013 came around, I moved to Florida, I moved to Tampa to be exact. And when I moved to Florida, I found out there's water everywhere. I had known from other visits, and I was fine with it. But somebody said, can you swim? Because you're living in Florida now. And I said, why? And they're like, because there's water everywhere. So I said, well, I guess it's too late for me then, because I'm probably never going to learn how to swim. But I had a little girl. She's 2 years old at the time. And I said to myself, okay, so 2 years old, lots of water. I've seen this show before. I know how this one ends. That's not going to be my daughter. So I started looking around for swimming lessons for her, and a couple of my coworkers mentioned drown-proof classes. I signed her up for drown-proof classes, and she got involved in it. And the very first time, her mother couldn't even go to the class because she was so terrified. Oh, by the way, yeah, her mother also can't swim. She's not Jamaican though, but she can't swim either. She could not deal with that experience. But I went and I sat there and I watched the instructor go through it. They got her comfortable in the water. They didn't just shove her head underneath the water and hold it underneath it. They kind of got her comfortable, and then they explained to her what they were going to do. You know, I don't think she got most of it because she still had that look of shock when they put her underneath the water. But then she came back up, and I trusted the instructor. And even though my first instinct is to jump out there and grab her and pull her out of the water, I know this is part of what she has to do to learn how to swim. So from that point on, my daughter became a better swimmer. I actually stole some of the tips that the teacher was teaching her, and I kind of got a little thing going there too. But I still kind of have that fear. So every now and then I get in the water, I still kind of get that anxious feeling, but I still venture out there. So my journey continues, but she's an excellent swimmer, by the way. I think, if anything, she'll save me if we were in the pool together. So the second topic that I have is electricity. Now, electricity is dangerous for its own reasons. And let's see here. I don't know how many of you here are electricians, are electrical workers, electrical engineers? I thought so. So I have a little thing here that I can help you out with here. John, if you don't mind, I'm going to just kind of steal your board here for a second.
Oh, no.
It's okay. You had beach, golf.
I know what they were.
Baseball. Golf. You had beach, golf, baseball.
Good.
All right. So if you think of electricity, we talk of a thing we call potential or voltage. Any of you familiar with that term? You know voltage and you say, well, if the outlet over here has 120 volts in it. The electrical lines that I'm talking about are those tall ones that you see outside of when you're on the freeway. Those are high tension lines or high voltage lines. They have about 270,000 volts. So how we describe voltage, we describe it like how you describe, hey, you know what? I'll talk about water because guess what? Water has potential. So if you have a hill here and you have a little valley, right? And you have a little stream there flowing, right? And you got all this water up here. So what we say is when water is sitting up here, where does the water want to go? Downhill. It wants to go downhill. So it has a potential of falling. So in the same way like how we talk about water, we can talk about electricity. So when electrical lines have a voltage on it, it has a potential. So when these high voltage lines are here, the problem is that they want to go down here. So if you could just follow and just go along with me here, just understand that high voltage wants to go to an area of low voltage. So those high tension lines you see outside there, they're high voltage and they want to go down to the earth. So guess what happens if you go ahead and you touch one of those lines and then you touch the ground? Your body is made out of 80% water. Here we go again, another reference to water. Your body is made out of 80% water, so if you touch one of those lines with this hand and you touch the earth with the other hand, your body forms a conductor. A conductor is a path that electricity moves through. So it forms the perfect conductor, and then you will be electrocuted. The reason those lines are so high off the ground is because there's no way that you're going to be touching those lines up there and touching the ground at the same time. And that's why they keep them so high. The voltage potential is so high on those lines that it's as if you have 2 million horses galloping along those lines all day long. So if you have any high tension lines in your backyard, it's like 2 million horses galloping all day long through your backyard. I don't think you're going to be able to watch that baseball game, John. I don't think you're going to be able to get a good nap that night if those horses are running through your backyard. So you're thinking to yourself, man, this is terrible. We live in this place. We got all this water. We got all this electricity. Man, it's not safe. But I got good news for you. The news I got for you is the same way how we're the lightning capital of the world, also electricity, and we don't walk around thinking, I'm going to get electrocuted. In the same way, you just have to show respect for electricity. You don't go touching electrical lines while they're laying down. Instead, what you do is you go ahead and you call the electrical company and tell them that you have a line down, and they will come out there and fix the problem for you. You don't have to do anything. Second thing is, for water, the only thing I have for you is, when you leave this room today, remember this one thing. If you know any family members, friends, co-workers that have children, or yourself, if you have children of your own, make sure you sign them up for drown-proof classes, because the Florida Today statistics say that 2 classrooms of children under the age of 11 die every summer from drowning. And we want to stop that from happening. Thank you.